Hey everyone. So we've talked before in the past about different down payment options and the amount of money that you're going to need at closing as it pertains to the down payment, based upon whether or not the property is a primary residence, second home, investment property, things of that nature. What we didn't talk about and what we're going to mention or discuss today is on top of your down payment, there's going to be other costs that are associated with obtaining a mortgage loan. Now, those costs can vary from state to state. Many of the costs are associated with the actual loan process. There are some costs that are typically incurred but are not required as part of the loan process. So, first and foremost, we're going to talk about the closing costs that are third party associated fees that are associated with the actual mortgage. In the state of North Carolina, what you'll see typically is there's going to be some lender fees, such as a lender origination, processing, underwriting fees, things of that nature. And that's going to vary from lender to lender. Typically, you're going to see those costs average somewhere around $1,000 to $1,200. That's pretty customary in our market and most of the markets in North Carolina. You also have an appraisal cost. In most cases, there are some instances where an appraisal is not required if there's a large down payment. But assuming worst case that it is, the appraisal costs are usually going to vary anywhere between $500 to about $650, just depending upon what type of loan you're getting and what the use of the property is. You're also going to have associated costs with a closing attorney and title company. Closing attorney fees on average in most markets in North Carolina run around $1,000. You will see from time to time some attorneys charge less and then some charge more, but $1,000 is a good number for an attorney fee and what they charge you to search the title as well as to represent you, as a buyer throughout the transaction. You also have title insurance, which is a policy that exists to protect both you and the lender against any matters that come up down the road having to do with title. Typically, the title is going to run about $2.50 for every $1,000 of the purchase price. So you can back into the math. It's hard to give an exact number on that unless you know what your purchase price is going to be. But that should give you a good preliminary idea of how to back into those numbers. You're also going to have recording charges. Most counties in the state of North Carolina are going to charge $90 to record the deed and deed of trust. And of course, that's the official point in time where the property conveys from seller to buyer from a legal perspective. Other fees that you'll run into are going to be your insurance. Typically, you're always paying your insurance for a year in advance. So in most cases, at the time of a real estate closing, we are collecting your first year of homeowners insurance premium. And that could vary depending upon whether or not you're in a flood zone, whether or not you're in a coastal county and are required to have a separate policy for wind and hail coverage. So hard to give an exact number on that, just because there's so many variables involved. Lastly, there'll be an escrow account. If your taxes and insurance are going to be included in your monthly payment, we have to collect a certain amount of reserves to fund your escrow account to make sure that you have enough money in that account to pay those bills when they become due in the future. Hard to give an exact amount on that as well because it depends on how much your taxes and insurance are. And also what month of the year that you're closing and what month of the year that those bills are due. So those fees can vary. In addition to those associated costs that have to do with the actual loan process, other costs that you'll see commonly are a home inspection. Home inspection is not required in most cases for the purpose of obtaining financing on a home, but it's a good idea to get, and most good real estate agents are certainly going to recommend that you do because you want to be familiar with and understand if you're getting into a home purchase and there's some issues with the house, that's stuff that you want to know beforehand, not find out after the fact. A termite inspection. Typically those run like $100 in most cases. Certainly in North Carolina, especially coastal North Carolina, because of humidity and moisture content, termites are relatively prevalent. So that is a great inspection, certainly one that you want to get done before you purchase a home because you don't want to find out after the fact that your house is all kinds of eaten up with termites. I think the home inspection usually runs about $450 too on average. Lastly, the other fee that you'll see from time to time, although not required in the state of North Carolina, is a survey. Surveys are not commonly done in most cases. They're not required to obtain title insurance in the state of North Carolina, But a lot of people want to get them done because they want to know what the boundaries of their properties are, especially if you're putting in like a fence or an invisible fence for your dog or something like that. A survey is going to give you a good idea of what the outline of your property is, so that you know where to put a fence up or an invisible fence or other items like that. Survey costs can vary, but they usually run anywhere from $450 to $600, just depending upon the market that you're in. So that should give you a good idea of kind of an all-encompassing picture of what additional costs are involved in a mortgage transaction on top of any required down payment that you have to make. As always, we're here to answer any questions that you have and help out in any way. Have a great day.